I wasn't expecting much from Tinder. Like most 19-year-olds, I was just looking for a casual hookup, something uncomplicated, a night to pass the time. Her pictures seemed cute enough, though they all had that overly polished, staged look you often see in senior portraits, like someone had curated her entire personality through a camera lens. We texted for a few days, nothing too deep, mostly shallow exchanges. She wasn't particularly funny or interesting, but at that point in my life, personality didn't rank high on my list of priorities. So when she texted me late one night, asking if I could pick her up, I didn't think much of it. Sure, I thought, why not? The night was boring, and I didn't have anything better to do. I pulled up to her neighborhood, a typical suburban street with rows of houses that all looked like carbon copies of each other. It was late, maybe close to midnight, and the streetlights cast long, eerie shadows that made everything feel strangely surreal. I called her to let her know I had arrived, and that's when the first red flag appeared. Her voice sounded strange, like she was chewing something, talking with her mouth full. It was weird, but I shrugged it off. People do odd things sometimes. A few moments later, she came around the corner, and that's when I felt the first true sense of unease. She was walking in a strange way, almost awkwardly, like someone not entirely comfortable in their own skin. Her clothes immediately caught my attention. They didn't fit her well, like they were a few sizes too small, or maybe like they were meant for someone much younger. A skirt that was too short, a shirt that clung tightly and seemed juvenile. The whole outfit felt off. It wasn't the kind of playful, flirty look you'd expect from someone our age trying to impress a Tinder match. Instead, it felt oddly childlike, as though she were trying to mimic what she thought a grown-up should wear, but missed the mark entirely. I rolled down the window, ready to say something, but before I could, she reached out and grabbed my hand, her face locked in this blank, almost vacant expression. My heart sank immediately. Something was terribly wrong. It hit me like a freight train. This girl wasn't mentally all there. There was a clear disconnect between her appearance, her behavior, and the situation we were in. My stomach knotted as I realized I wasn't equipped to handle this. I didn't know what to do or how to proceed. Before I could gather my thoughts, I heard footsteps pounding against the pavement, fast and frantic. A boy, maybe a few years younger than me, came sprinting toward us from the same corner she had emerged from. He was yelling her name, his voice panicked and strained, begging her to come back. He finally reached us, breathless and flushed, and I pieced together what was happening. She had snuck out of the house, and this boy, her brother, I assumed, had come running after her, trying to get her back before anyone noticed she was gone. I was in full-blown panic mode now. The reality of the situation crashed down on me, and I felt completely out of my depth. This wasn't what I had signed up for, not even close. I glanced at her, hoping she might realize that this wasn't right, that she should go back with her brother, but she didn't seem fazed at all. She looked at me with wide, trusting eyes and said something that made my blood run cold. "It's okay," she called out, loud enough for her brother to hear. "I'm with my boyfriend, he's going to take care of me." Boyfriend? My heart skipped a beat. The way she said it, so confident and assured, made me feel like I had just been dropped into some bizarre nightmare. I wasn't her boyfriend. I was just some guy she'd matched with on a dating app, and yet, here I was, being thrust into a situation that made no sense. My mind raced as I tried to figure out how to de-escalate this. I turned to her brother, hoping he might be able to talk her down, but he seemed just as rattled as I was. "You should probably go with him," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, even though my pulse was racing. She didn't let go of my hand, gripping it tightly as if I were her lifeline. Minutes passed, though they felt like an eternity. Eventually, after what felt like hours of quiet pleading and gentle coaxing, I managed to convince her to let go of my hand and follow her brother back home. She hesitated at first but finally relented, allowing him to guide her back in the direction they had come from. As soon as she was out of sight, I threw the car into drive and sped off, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. My heart was still pounding in my chest, the adrenaline coursing through my veins like a drug. But it didn't end there. In the days that followed, she called me relentlessly, leaving me voicemail after voicemail. She claimed her parents were furious with her and that she needed my help to calm them down. I ignored her calls at first, hoping she would just let it go, but she didn't. Days turned into weeks, and the calls kept coming. Each one was more desperate than the last, pleading for me to come to her house, to talk to her parents, to fix things. I sent one final message, a terse, straightforward text telling her to listen to her parents and to stop sneaking out. I didn't hear back from her after that, but she didn't stop trying. For months afterward, she would send me messages, asking if I could come to family events as her boyfriend, as if nothing had changed. I never responded. I couldn't. The whole ordeal had left me shaken and more than a little paranoid about meeting anyone from a dating app again. From that moment on, I made a strict rule for myself: always Skype or video chat before meeting anyone in person. I didn't want to risk finding myself in a situation like that ever again. It was a hard lesson learned, one that stuck with me long after the calls and messages finally stopped. I genuinely hoped that girl got the help she needed, but I knew one thing for certain: I wasn't the person who could provide it.